and welcome to episode
34
of Mo Money, the investing show for millennials by a millennial, where our goal is to educate, entertain, and empower a new generation of investors. I am, of course, the host, the creator, and mastermind of this wonderful series, MC Mo. Now, as you may know, since I alluded to it in a previous episode, I am a huge fan of the musical Hamilton, and no, I have not seen it. Why? I don't know, I guess I just don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to shell out. I'm busy paying rent and student loans. Anyways, we all know the basic story of Alexander Hamilton by now. The bastard, orphan, son of a whore and a Scotsman from a forgotten spot in the Caribbean and grew up to be a hero and a scholar and a founding father, yada yada yada. Now, what you may not know about Alexander Hamilton was he was the genius who created the current American financial system. Lin-Manuel Miranda alluded to it briefly in the musical Cabinet Battle 1, but mostly stuck to the more appealing subject matter such as war, love, death, and infidelity. Not my cup of tea. But this is Mo Money, so where others dare not go, we're going. Who is going to break down the plan we are behind Hamilton, ALAXANDER financial plan? And if you're wondering,
is there gonna be like a ton of Hamilton references?
Yeah, there probably will be. Anyway, so the Revolutionary War ended in 1783. The British were gone by the end of the year, but the troubles had truly just started. In 1789, after the ratification of the U.S. Constitution under the new government, George Washington created a position called the Secretary of the Treasury, which he appointed to Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton's job was to stabilize the economy and ensure its future growth. Hamilton wrote many reports in 1790, proposed ideas on how to kickstart the economy. He wrote the following report on national credit, national credit 2, national bank, national mint, manufacturer, just to name a few. Hamilton truly wrote like he was running out of time. The man was non-stop. So his reports on national credit basically stated that the U.S. government had absolutely zero credit. Won a war, but that's about it. You know your credit score that you get from paying bills and crap? Every government has one too. And what happens when you don't pay your debts? You get a really super low score. And that is basically the situation that the U.S. government found itself in. Many of the states still had massive debts incurred from the war, because as we have seen in Afghanistan, Iraq, and everywhere else we've stuck our nose in recently, wars are not cheap. So we had a country where some states had massive debts, other states had none, and no way to borrow money to pay down the debt or to make the government run because nobody wanted to lend us money. It's basically like your shit friend Mike, who always bums $5 from you. Except in this case, Mike and his friends bummed millions from you and have absolutely no way to pay it back. So Alexander Hamilton decided that the USA needed to find a way to up its street cred in the financial world and show everybody that they could be a sound financial investor. So what was his plan? Assume all states' debt under the federal government. By the end of the war, the Union collectively owed $43 million. By the time it came time for Secretary Hamilton to propose a plan, it was about $73 million, which would be about $1.7 billion in today's dollars if that online inflation calculator I used was right. Assuming states' debts. How would that work? Basically, the government would pay off all the holders of the states' debts for the states, then the states would collectively pay back the central government. That sounds relatively easy, relatively fair, but here's the problem. And this is where Hamilton faced fierce opposition from Jefferson and the Southerners. Some states owed way more money than the others. Some owed absolutely nothing. It's like when you go out with your friends and you all split the bill, but here's the thing. Your shit friend Mike's here again. He got like 10 shots, surf and turf, and dessert. All you got was like some beer and some fries, so why the fuck should you have to pay for him? Here's what Hamilton had to say. First of all, we all fought this war together. Everybody helped, so everybody should work together to pay off the debts. Next, like I said before, if countries and investors see that the government paid off the debts, especially the large $73 million debt, it makes them a safer investment. The safer the investment, the more money you can get from investors and the lower the interest rates are. So if you lend a crackhead $20, he said he's going to pay you back, you're going to charge him a super high interest rates because he's a super risky investment. But if you lend $20 to a millionaire, you'll charge him something super small because he's a barely any risk at all investment. So this debt repayment history made our country aggressive and competitive to investors. It was a financial diuretic, not a sedative. And the more money that comes pouring in, the more the economy can access capital and gets a boost. This plan, although previously blocked by Jefferson and his party, was accepted after the agreement to move the nation's capital to the South. Politics, baby. So you're probably asking, so how did the government, who was bankrupt, pay off the state's debts? Hamilton's brilliant idea number 2, the establishment of a national bank, based on the Bank of England, which you could imagine at the time was not like a super duper way to sway people to your ideas.
Hey guys, so England, that country that we just fought, does this awesome thing. I think we should totally do the same.
The goal of this private bank, partially owned by the government, was to help establish the credit of the new nation, conduct the transactions for the government, and bring in money. So here was another battle between Hamilton and Jefferson. Hamilton was very liberal with his interpretation of the Constitution. Jefferson was not. Jefferson said the government creating a central bank was never a power granted in the Constitution. So as the 10th Amendment states, that power falls to the state. Hamilton argued that it was constitutional under the necessary and proper clause. Hamilton won this one, though Washington was kind of reluctant to sign it. First order of business, though, was to pay off war debt. A lot of people who bought the bonds, aka the debt, sold these bonds during the war for whatever reason. But all of them were sold for way less than they were bought. So if you bought a $100 bond, some were selling them for $15, $20. Some just needed the money, and some just lost faith in the potential success of the revolution. But many of them were bought up by wealthy speculators. Jefferson said if the central government was going to repay these debts, it should be paid to the initial purchasers, the initial supporters of the revolution. Hamilton said, no, fuck them. They sold. They doubted our nation. It should be given to the current holders who believed in us, or thought, I'll buy it. It's dirt cheap. If they win, I could make a killing. And they did. A lot of Wall Street bankers did. A lot of Hamilton's friends did. But that's neither here nor there. They knew it was impossible to follow Jefferson's proposal, track down all the original purchasers of this debt. So the central government, under the direction of the new national bank, paid off all the debt to the current bondholders at par. Par means the face amount. Face amount means how much they are bought for. So if you bought a $100 bond and that gets refunded at par, it means you get $100 back. Hamilton also made sure they are paid interest on the bonds as well. Now America's in good standing in the world of finance. People begin to see it as a good place to start doing business. So now we have a good line of credit. A hold on the national debt, but still no real economy. So 1791, Hamilton writes his report on manufacturers. As you can guess, Jefferson was not a fan of this either. Hamilton believed that the way to boom the economy was through subsidies and tariffs for manufacturers. Europe was already a huge and established economy with their large manufacturing capabilities. Hamilton argued that since the nation was in its infancy, the government should do everything within its power to shelter and help grow our manufacturing sector to be able to compete with others around the world. Hamilton called for tariffs to be placed on foreign goods coming to this country to discourage the public from buying foreign goods and instead buying domestic, which would help boost the economy. Basically the same thing that Trump is saying today. To be a real world power, we would need factories that can produce goods quickly and efficiently. Jefferson and his party believed this only benefited the North and the banks, and it would hurt the farmers. Hamilton argued it would only help the farmers as the manufacturing sector prospered. America was in a much different situation than it is now. Usually I would reject the idea of government intervention in the economy, but these circumstances were different because there was no economy. Hamilton knew that the country could not wait around for businesses to just pop up. He believed in a strong central government, a notion opposed by many of the other founding fathers as being exactly what they just fought against. But he believed in it. The central government was strong and powerful enough, with good enough credit, they could speed up the economic process. They could create and fund the sectors needed. All they needed was the money. And with Hamilton's plan for assuming states' debts, establishing a solid line of credit by establishing a national bank to issue loans, hold capital for the country, create a single minted currency, that a stable and prosperous economy would be created. Consolidate states' war debts, creation of a national bank, tariffs on foreign goods to raise money for the government, and encourage purchase of American goods, thus increase the prosperity of American businesses. That was Hamilton's plan. It was simple. It's only 3 real steps. Although maybe never directly and in full, most of Hamilton's plans for the economy would pass through Congress and be accepted. He was the man with the plans, the man with the money ideas, and they worked. The economy grew, the country thrived, and it is a system that is still in place today. Just like Jefferson says in Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story, I'll give him this. His financial plan is a work of genius. I couldn't undo it if I tried, and I tried. I hope I was able to shine a little bit more light on the financial brilliance of Alexander Hamilton and what he was able to accomplish for our nation in its earliest years. Like Madison says in the same song, he doesn't get enough credit for all the credit that he gave us. But here's Alexander Hamilton, one of the greatest founding fathers our nation ever had. Without you, we would not nearly be the great nation that we are today. Thank you so much for watching another episode. You know we'll be here every week with a new episode of Mo Money. For now, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Like me on Facebook. Mo Money, signing out.
If we assume the debts the union gets, a new line of credit, a financial diuretic, how do you not get it? If we're aggressive and competitive, the union gets a boost, you'd rather give it a sedative.